Good morning. This is not my van. I'm going to explain in a moment, but first I want to apologize for the audio. I have microphones, receivers, and then I lost my cell phone this week. Have a new cell phone, but this receiver doesn't go in the new cell phone. So that has been kind of how my week has been going. And I wanted to jump on here to give all of you subscribers. We're almost at 2,000. I'm so grateful to all of you, and for your support. You deserve an explanation. My van is outside. I am inside, cat sitting. Now that I'm talking, I fully expect to get sprung upon. And Buddy is in charge of cat sitting. They get along well, they sleep in bed. I'm indoors not only to cat sit, but I had a physical setback. A pretty significant physical setback. And I wanted to talk to you guys about the realities of van life with a physical setback. Just as the neighbor starts the lawnmower. So if you've been following along, or you've seen the summary that I have at the top, I should probably do an updated one. You all know that I was in a very serious head-on collision. I was hit by somebody that ran a stop sign. Head on. At the time, I think we counted that 28 parts of my body were injured. Some of them got better, some of them did not. And I am a very stubborn person. All of my friends out there are laughing right now. They're going, But one of the things that I struggle with is balance when I walk, for two reasons. I had a major concussion, vestibular imbalance, lost part of my hearing. So it's kind of, when I walk, it's kind of tricky, because if my spine activates, and we're going to talk about my spine in a minute, because that's one of the major problems. If the spine activates with like a twinge of pain, like I'm in pain all the time, every single moment of the day. It's a good day for me if I can walk around in relative comfort. But as I talked to my orthopedic doctor about, I am always between a 2 and an 8. On May the 8th of this year, it went to a 10. I don't cry easily. And I just wanted to cry because I fell. And this shoulder, I'm not gonna show the bruise on YouTube because nobody needs to see the bruise that went from here to here, but it kind of matched bruising from the seatbelt injury. So the joint was probably already weak. I'm not a doctor. But my shoulder has been in pain for 4 years and a month. I'm not going to talk here about the court case. What I am going to talk about is when you live in a van, and I'm right-handed. I know this might switch it around for some of you, but this honestly is my right hand. I'm right-handed, and so this shoulder's kind of important to me. And right now, I would not hold a kettle. I would not hold boiling water. It makes some things really difficult because it doesn't work really well in all directions. And yes, there is a surgeon who is going to be brought in for a consultation because my orthopedic doctor is not a surgeon. So I have been behind in posting YouTube videos for a few reasons. One, I'm house sitting. It's not van life. Although you're going to be impressed, I think, with what my friend Wanda on Wheels, YouTube, follow her, has been doing with me to help me. If you saw the video on the roof, the idea of me getting on a roof is preposterous. Lifting my arm is difficult. And that kind of brought me, so let me finish that thought. So I was dejected, depressed, in pain, angry, all of the things that are not conducive to being a creator. So I decided to take a couple weeks off YouTube, and thank you all for your patience, but I really needed to focus on healing. And I live in I live in my van, but my home base is Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. And the Ontario healthcare plan has a lot of challenges right now. OHIP. How it works, I know that there are many of you from around the world, so I will just very briefly state how it works is we pay into it. If you live in the province of Ontario, we pay into it basically our whole lives. And it is struggling with long wait times, doctor shortages, all that kind of stuff. So when this happened again, I decided to pay out of pocket to go to a province. For many of you, like if you're from Australia, you don't know that the province of Quebec, but the province of Quebec and the province of Ontario meet in many places. But directly in Ottawa, we can just drive back and forth. Many people live on one side, take a bridge, and work on the other side. So I paid $1,700 for 2 MRIs. One for my pelvis, which we'll discuss in a bit because that's a seatbelt injury problem that keeps me from still mountain climbing and that kind of stuff. But more importantly, the shoulder. Well, more urgently, I guess. I wouldn't say more importantly because I would like to walk for the rest of my life. And certain things are falling apart in my pelvis, which that part was not a surprise to me. I am, again, in pain, walking all the time. Sometimes it's manageable, and sometimes I've just learned as a former runner and mountain climber that, I just have to take it easy, which is very hard for me. This one was a shock, and I'm going to tell you why. Because my orthopedic guy, not the surgeon, but the orthopedic guy, called me. That's never a good sign. And looked at the MRI results. And the reason why I went and paid for it is that the wait time for an MRI in Ontario under the struggling healthcare system, the wait time is significant for a major test like that. So I did get an X-ray with public funds, but then if I wanted an MRI, the wait time would have been significant. And they found that I had a broken bone right here, where this bone, your long bone, we all know what bones look like, and they have kind of the head on them. It might be a little higher. And it doesn't hurt right now. But if you wanted me to lift my arm in that direction right now, that wouldn't work very well. Anyway, it had a break. I did Google. I did AI it and understood that it's kind of where it attaches up here and a small piece broke off. So it's floating around in there. Clearly, it was upsetting. And that led to my creative stagnation. Is that a good way to explain it? I just didn't want to create. I'm like, I don't want to share this with all of my van life friends and all of you out there, that my personal struggles. And then I started to think about it and I thought, but wait a second. Wait a second. When we adopt van life, and I am hitting my 2-year anniversary on Friday. When we're nomads, what do you do when there is a medical situation? Now, I don't understand much about, and keep in mind, a lot of my family is American. I don't understand a lot about other countries' programs, but ours is socialized medicine. It's not perfect in any way, shape, or form. Is it perfect? However, we have socialized medicine. Healthcare is very important to us. Waiting leads to problems. So for example, oh, well, hi, mister. You come to join us? Woof. He's like, you can't believe what I've been going through with her. So wait times lead to problems in Ontario because bones start to heal while you're waiting, and that's not always a good thing. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen here, because the surgeon might think my body has already started to heal. I do start physiotherapy. I've had physiotherapy for years, but I do have physiotherapy starting on Tuesday, and this is Saturday. And you're going to see this on Sunday. So that's all good. But what the heck do you do when you live in a van? The benefit is that you can sleep in your physiotherapist's parking lot if you have an early morning situation. However, Ottawa gets really intense winters. I can't be here in winter because I fall on ice. The whole vestibular thing, right? Like once I start to fall, I just go down, like my dad used to say, a sack of potatoes. So that's a danger for me. But what happens if a surgeon says you have to be here on December 15th for a very invasive surgery? Like we're talking pins and stuff. That said, I'm hoping the conclusion is it's already started to heal. I'm regaining motion. We're not doing surgery. So I don't know anything about surgery. I have not spoken to the surgeon yet. What the heck do you do if you live in a climate in a van in winter? And for those of you that don't know, Ottawa gets very serious winters. Like, it could be, I think last winter we hit minus 40 degrees Celsius. Unbelievably cold. You can't do that. So what do you do? So I was thinking about this and I thought, okay. And again, I don't know how every state, how every province, territory, how they run their healthcare. But all I could figure was, so I would have to get a main floor Airbnb because I'm a fall risk. You don't want to fall on a bone that's being held together after surgery. And to be perfectly honest, I don't have a solution right now. And I don't know what the doctors are going to decide. But it did raise the question for me about what happens when we're sick or broken on the road. And I think that before you adopt this lifestyle, and keep in mind, if you've seen my previous videos, I've interviewed a bunch of senior citizens, I'm 58, about the fact that they just decided to go. But I like a plan. I'm a big fan of a plan. And I didn't have a plan for this. I mean, I know I'm perpetually injured. I don't use the word disabled, or I would never use that word anyway. I always say, somebody with a disability, because I think that is respectful language. But I have yet to identify as someone with a disability. I just have an injury for 4 years. And I did want to say to van lifers who have healthcare issues, think about this very carefully. For example, last winter, I was in both British Columbia, so the furthest edge of Canada on the west, and I was also in Mexico, which has a very good healthcare system, by the way, that nobody talks about. If I had fallen in Mexico, what's the plan, right? You're flying home with a broken arm. That's pretty much the way that I saw it. I also spend enough time in Ontario every year that I am still an Ontario healthcare plan recipient. And it's free. I know a lot of people don't believe that, but it's free healthcare. However, it's delayed healthcare. That's just my opinion. If you're super urgent, they'll get you in. But if you're quasi or not that urgent, some people are getting new knees a year or two after they need them because of a shortage of surgeons, depending on where you live in Canada, because our healthcare is provincial, it is not federal. But you need to think about what happens if. It is so important to have a plan. You can't just be in the middle of Quartzsite, Arizona, which I love because it's just a really cool experience with a million RVers that show up there, van lifers, people on wheels in the winters. Really cool place. But what happens if you're in Quartzsite, where your groceries, if you want to do a big haul of groceries, not just from the really great community grocery stores, but it's like 45 minutes away. What if you fall and you break a bone 45 minutes away from a town? I think I'm remembering this correctly, Blythe. I crossed over into the California border, but 45 minutes away, I don't think they have a hospital, but it was, anyway, you could probably look that up for yourself, but I don't remember seeing a hospital. I went there for groceries and a few other supplies. Don't cross into California if you want gas. Holy moly. But what happens? What is your plan? Have a plan for emergency contacts. My phone is followed. My location is followed. Some of you have seen the video with Janet Gray about financial planning for van life. This is her home. And she is currently in New Brunswick, and I am doing that cat sitting for her. So as my financial planner, but you need a plan. Like, do you have reserve money to fly home? Can you fly home? If you're Canadian, did you get American healthcare insurance? Which I do. I call it evacuation insurance, but it's basically, do you have enough insurance to get back to your home base if there is an emergency? I'm right-handed. I know it's flipped, so this is my right. If you cannot use your dominant arm and your other arm is what you lift with, and you're not able to do that, what is your plan? So I don't want to, let's put it this way. Everybody on here has a different scenario for their own healthcare. This is my particular way to access healthcare in my home province in Canada, Ontario. So I kind of know how the machinery works. I do not know how a potential surgery, I mean, it's being referred to a surgeon, and it's a major surgery. I will update you, but I don't think it's surgical, but that's just me doing Dr. Google. What do you do? Where are you going to live? My only solution is I would have to fly back to Canada in winter, stay in an Airbnb. I would not impose this on my friends because my arm will be useless for probably 6 to 8 weeks, 2 months. I would not do this to my friends. So Airbnb or short-term rental or something like that is dog friendly. So add another layer onto that. Then you have to think about, how do I get there? If you're going on a plane, where's my van going to be? If you're going on a plane, how's my shoulder going to... Oh, I just realized something. If I do have the surgery, I'm going to ding in airport security because it would involve a metal screw and plate in there. Ding, 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 ding. So meet my dog who's in the carrier. And yes, I've got metal in my body. So are you going to fly home? If it's urgent and you don't have evacuation insurance, keep in mind the evacuation insurance is sometimes pre-existing conditions. I don't have any of the other pre-existing conditions. But if you're getting on a plane with a broken arm and you have a history of that arm being seriously damaged, that's a pre-existing condition. Are they going to fly you home? I know this sounds grim, and now you're going to understand why my creativity was kind of crushed for a week or two while I was trying to figure out my own life. But also for YouTubers who feel compelled to create. I took a step back creating because that was what was best for me, to focus on what do I need to know, going to doctor's appointments, dealing with an arm that doesn't currently want to cooperate. You may have seen the video of my friend Wanda on Wheels putting my Max Air fan in, and tomorrow, after you see this, she's going to be helping me with my solar. I could have done it myself, but it involves going up on a ladder. That can't happen when you've got a broken wing, right? So I'm recording this and I've gone on far too long, but I think that it is important for people who are about to jump into van life or thinking about van life to think about weather conditions. If you have to go back to Denver, Colorado, for example, in January, what are you going to do? What's the plan? I don't have any advice for that except to have a plan, because for each of you, it's going to be different. And flying home is expensive. Because I fly with Buddy, I have to fly in business class where he can fit in his carrier. Again, previous videos, fit in his carrier, little bit of trazodone. He sleeps until we get back to Canada, because I did have to come back from Vancouver for some medical stuff last winter, which was scary. But it hadn't snowed yet, and snow and ice are kind of my fear. So have a plan.